Hello, everybody, and welcome to GameCraft Brewing Company in Aliso Viejo, California. It's a place that prides itself not only on its microbrews, but also on creating a relaxed atmosphere where people can sit, eat, drink, and create a community. If you've ever been to an AV trade show, you know that these are the type of places that we have our best conversations, which is why I invited my first guest, Joe Way, to meet me here. Joe is a tech manager at a local university, as well as a tech director at a megachurch. He also happens to have a PhD and just wrote a book, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So today we're gonna have games, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have beer. It's Technologists in Bars talking AV. Hey everybody, Mark Coxon, the AV Phenom, and welcome to my new show, Technologists in Bars talking AV. I have my first guest, Joe Way, and Joe's going to tell us a little bit about where he fits into the AV ecosystem.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
No worries.
This is good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Make it title appropriate. Yeah.
All right.
Hey. Yeah. So I kind of work in two different verticals. So I'm a tech manager in higher education, so overseeing all the classroom technology, AV installs, you know, the daily support and all of that. And as well, I also work in the House of Worship vertical, being able to oversee as technical director at a large megachurch in the area. So kind of work both of those, kind of came up from working in the entertainment industry for 25 years and now kind of picked a vertical or two to stick in.
Wow, so you're the guy that everybody's mad is now coming to InfoComm.
That is right, exactly.
It's him.
I am that guy.
You're mad at him. He's the guy you don't want at InfoComm, I guess.
I'm the reason that all of your tabs have increased because you got to take all the clients out.
So how is it that you're like higher ed and House of Worship? I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, it's a good story because I almost don't want to say that I'm almost even three verticals, but we won't even go that far. But it's because I think that AV has just become so customer centric in whichever way you work it, right? It all becomes about the end user. And though, yeah, you know, manufacturers and integrators see me as the end user, I have my own end user, and I always have, right? Yeah. Whether it be, you know, working in live sound, it's the, you know, whoever the band is up on stage or the people that are, you know, filling the arena, or now in higher ed, it's the professors and students and administrators. House of Worship is the people attending. So you always have this idea that you're serving somebody, even if, you know, in higher ed, I might be, I have people servicing me and I'm servicing others.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I think that just as things have changed, as you know, we connected off the, you know, the AV and the AM.
The interwebs.
Exactly.
The Twitters.
The Twitters. But isn't that the cool thing about our industry, how it's just become, here becomes a buzzword, we've converged to one another, right? We have become so just ingrained with the way that, you know, we use our technology, and it's no longer just you have to be here in this box, and you have to be here in this box, because a projector is a projector is a projector, and, you know, a microphone's a microphone's a microphone.
Yeah. So, nightmare story. Everybody always likes to hear everybody's nightmare, their worst AV install or their worst customer ever. What's your nightmare AV story?
Oh, I mean, okay, and literally this happened last night, okay? Oh. All right, so this is where it's like
fresh wounds.
Nothing is new under the sun. You know, I'm working my daughter's Christmas choir last night. They don't put...
I saw something on Twitter about this.
I had you not tweet it, right? Little high school tech, you put fresh batteries in? Of course I put fresh batteries in. You know, 3 songs in, Mike dies. I'm looking at my meters, I got 1. You know, I got 1.
Like, everybody gather around.
Did you not put batteries? Yeah, but we didn't have any new ones. I took them out of the bucket.
Oh, geez. The battery bucket.
The battery bucket.
All right, guys, chicken time. I just made Joe eat chicken. This is like the worst recording day I've ever had in my life. So, Karagi chicken.
I'm feeling it. He just did it, and now it hits the back of your throat.
Now we got to do it twice. You've already got him. Okay, I'm making you doing it again now.
Can we go back to worst AV disaster, and maybe it's recording the podcast and doing the chicken 8 times?
There we go.
You know, it's funny. You just made me think of something great. We got a lot of stories that just happened yesterday, because this happened yesterday morning.
Yesterday was a bad AV day.
Yesterday was quite the day. This actually wasn't a bad thing. So
December 19th, 2018, the worst day in AV. We talked about this book being beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So why did you write it?
All right, so, that chicken's still hitting me. Cheers.
Me too. It actually caught up with me too. I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
You haven't done the red sauce yet. Have you done the red sauce?
All right.
All right, go for the red, or I'll red sauce with you.
Look at. That's like.
This
coated.
one's nasty. I mean, it's great, but it's nasty.
Barely got any red sauce.
All right,
Look at me, man. Come on.
There we go.
That's all.
Look at
That's all
that.
going
That's
at
half
once.
red sauce. Red sauce.
What are we doing? Stop. What are we doing? This is not good.
Oh, that is great. So here's the thing. So I did my undergrad, right? I started at SC 25 years ago, right? And I went there for recording engineering. Best school in the country for it, but ended up with a degree in philosophy. What do you do with a degree in philosophy? You go in the entertainment industry, right? So 25 years in the entertainment industry, working live sound, concerts, TV, film, whatever anyone would pay me to do. And but after that, I kind of knew I wanted to got into the house of worship set, just in knowing that, the hours there, I wanted to get to know my daughter, just, growing up in life, and moved to house of worship, and now officially, higher ed now. And so I'd always wanted to go back for my degree. So I ended up getting the degree, and wanted to now provide back. So this book is my PhD dissertation. Written for basically a normal audience, right? So that at least you get to chapter 3 before you fall asleep, and not just in chapter 1. We often sit there and think, okay, and I look at it let's take it from the tech person side. And this is really in the setup of the book. I'll give you a way up to page 4, right? you got to buy it to get the next 200.
Page 5, not free.
As my associate tech director who was working for me says, someone comes in and asks him, what instrument do you play? Because we're just hanging out in the back.
Yeah.
When he's like, well, I play the soundboard.
Okay. The soundboard. Yep.
Right? Absolutely, right? That means that AV has a role within the actual presentation of the message. And I always say this, often we think of worship teams, and that's where your tech guy lives, and he's part of the worship team. And you know what? That's great. I'm still dying with stuff.
Got you again. It's a phantom hyperspice.
Hyperspice hits you with the breath of it. No, but he goes, all right, so he goes, wow. All right, there you go. You're part of the worship team. Yeah, great, But you know what? The worship team finishes 5 songs and they leave. The tech guy still sits at the booth. He doesn't get to go for coffee for the next 45 minutes.
No.
So there's something more to what they're doing, right? Yeah. They're actually part of the presentation of the message. And you hear this all the time, especially with traditional churches. And you'll have pastors or parishioners say, well, why do we even need a microphone? You know what? You don't need a microphone. What you need to do is get the gospel out. And if you've got someone sitting,
back.
15 rows back, you tell me how they're going to hear it. Because I guarantee you, the people who are new to the church are not walking up to your front row. They're hanging out in the back row.
Yeah.
They're the ones who need to hear this. They're the ones who need to make sure that your projector screen is large enough to get those points. You're not doing it for the 8 people who are sitting in the front, who are going to be there and who are going to shake your hand at the end of it. You need it for the person who's shy in the back. So in the commercial integration side, we often think of things like, we look at the house of worship, and let's be honest, not always super respected.
Yeah.
There are some churches that just go all out, train people, they're professionals. The average is a volunteer, and not necessarily up to the level or standard that we would look at, right? And so what this does is it makes people understand, especially for the the tech side, the church tech side, that if you can look at the purpose to why you're doing this,
Yeah.
and if you understand the purpose, you'll then strive for excellence, right? And then I'll take the flip side of that. When we're selling stuff, we always look for excellence, right? Because we want to sell the higher dollar thing.
Cha-ching, cha-ching,
Yep.
cha-ching.
But we don't always look at the purpose behind the end user. So you got two extremes that needed to come together, and that's really what this does. It makes us understand that, I mean, let's go back to Avixa CTS 101. The purpose of AV is to meet a communication need, right? It's what it comes down to.
100%.
Everything else is ancillary. You need to be able to connect people. That's the purpose of church, that's the purpose of higher ed, that's the purpose of the corporate boardroom that needs to meet in opposite countries to close a deal. It's communicating, it's just what you're communicating is what changes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of takeaways from this that, yeah, it's from a biblical perspective, but every one of those points applies to any part of the purpose behind what we do. It's funny. Let me make every IT person hate us, but this is the truth. Okay? We often, especially as the AV and IT are coming together, I think we're playing kind of the bastard child role right now, where we shouldn't be. Right? We're so thinking, oh, because we're going on their network. Well, we're using their stuff, so therefore they're in control. Well, listen. Here's the thing: IT is concerned with data transfer.
Yeah.
We're concerned with content transfer.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference. We are concerned about the experience and the emotions that someone is going to actually feel. They are concerned on whether or not this green dot and yellow dot on that jack, or have a green dot and yellow dot on that jack. That's it.
Yeah.
And that it gets there securely. And not going to downplay that, but we actually change lives. They move packets.
Yeah, I hate to. I go back to this. You've said something that I've said, and now I feel better about what I said. I said this on another podcast that I was on with Jason Ward from the UK when I was on a podcast with him. That IT's job is to move ones and zeros, and AV's job is to move hearts and minds. Typically. You like that one?
That one's good.
You like that one?
Yeah. Never mind if I steal that.
You steal it as much as you want. You credit. What I heard was you credit the person the first 3 times, and then after that it's yours. So last thing, just as we leave, because I'm going to say bye to you. I know you need to get to another play production to the bucket of batteries.
I need to get back. No, I already stopped for batteries. They are in my car.
Did you go to Costco at Alton over here?
I went to 7-Eleven.
Oh, 7-Eleven. Heads up to 7-Eleven for batteries.
But you know what? It's what I was able to get.
Yeah.
And I know I've got them.
And you got new batteries. So you've got new batteries. I saw something on Twitter the other day that talked about goals for 2019. So you mentioned that in 2018 you had this awesome year. You wrote a book. You got to teach it at Infocom for Avixa. You got to do a lot of great things. So for 2019, I say you can do one thing that says Joe Way wins 2019. What is it?
I sleep finally. No, let's say, it's funny because I remember that was, and I had to like pin it for a second.
Yeah.
I thought about the things I did. Like who gets a PhD and writes a book and starts a higher ed podcast, teaches at Infocom, gets a Follow Friday by Chris Net? No, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I looked at 2018 and went, dang, man. But let's be honest. I mean, it was an accomplishment, obviously. But for me, the end isn't there yet because I don't know how it's actually impacted people. It's a list of stuff I've done.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I get people reading this book and saying, I changed the way I look at life, I changed the way I connect with people. When people listen to the podcast and go, I understand the purpose behind what I'm doing better because you're introducing me to more people, because we're having these conversations, us sitting here, this is awesome. When people look at this and go, okay, I start to get it, that'll be my 2019.
This has been Technologists in Bars talking AV. Mark Coxon, the AV Phenom, and Joe Way. Check us out on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.